Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And it's about time the adults in the room took back the classroom, because these children, represented by the corrupt gangster ANC government, are just screwing up what's left of South Africa. And this hasn't gone unnoticed by the credit rating agencies who are pushing South Africa deeper and deeper into the swamp. And I know Hippo Eyes, Ramaphosa, loves being in the swamp, but the rest of South Africa, not so much. And it's time he stood aside and let people who are competent do the work that he has failed to do. And may I add, his entire ministry have failed to do. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. The latest credit downgrades show that South Africa is long past the point where credit rating agencies will give the country the benefit of the doubt on growth reforms and fiscal consolidation, say economists at the Bureau for Economic Research, or BER. In a research note published on Monday, the 23rd of November, the BER said it is now time for the country to deliver on promises made before the agencies will start to consider changing their assessment on South Africa. After the latest round of rating action, Fitch has overtaken S&P Global as the agency with the weakest ratings outlook for South Africa, while these two agencies now both rate South Africa at 3 notches below investment grade. Fitch maintains a negative outlook on their rating. The BER said the bottom line from Fitch was that a history of underdelivery raised doubts about the speedy implementation of growth-enhancing structural reforms in South Africa. Even if implemented, Fitch argued that the reforms will have a limited impact. It is also likely to take time for the positive impacts to accumulate. We are less downbeat on the potential for reforms to contribute to shifting the needle on growth, but agree that the positive impact will only be seen over time. Moodies highlighted much the same factors as Fitch. However, the agency focused more on the lasting negative impact of COVID-19 on South Africa's GDP growth and fiscal balances. And this sets up South Africa absolutely perfect for the Great Reset, because they are financially deep in the shit. Moodies agency expects a health crisis to intensify South Africa's long-standing economic and social constraints, including amongst the highest levels of inequality in the world. The BER said, for Moodies, the concern is that this will hinder the implementation of reforms, posing further risk to medium-term growth. Now, I've got to just add here that when we talk about inequality, we're talking about black inequality. We're not talking about the white middle class that have disappeared thanks to the lockdown. We're talking about the black privileged, the ANC, well-connected, the parliamentarians, family. You know what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about when we talk about the inequality between them, the elite in South Africa, and the rest of the black African population who are living below the starvation line. This is how inequitable South Africa has become. Anyway, the BER said, they argued that although South Africa is not unique at having been severely affected by the health pandemic, our capacity to mitigate the impacts of the unprecedented shock over the medium term is weaker than in many other countries. This is because of our notable pre-COVID fiscal, economic and social constraints, including rising borrowing costs. The negative rating outlook assigned by Moodies reflects the risk that South Africa's debt dynamics could turn out worse than they currently project. S&P Global which has generally led the pack in lowering South Africa's rating to below investment grade, kept its rating unchanged and also stuck to a stable outlook on the currency rating. While S&P highlighted the same concerns as Fitch and Moodies, it argued that the stable rating outlook was supported by that country's credit strengths. These include a credible central bank, a flexible exchange rate, and deep capital markets. These factors should help counterbalance low economic growth and fiscal pressures. Now, are these guys living on another planet? The Parliament is looking at a bill which will nationalize the central bank. Imagine what that's going to do. Anyway, let's continue. One of the key points of concern is a public sector wage freeze, which government has penciled in for the next 3 years. The proposal is contained in the Medium-Term Budget Policy Statement, or MTBPS, the Minister delivered in October. About 36.5 billion rand has been reduced from the compensation of employees, mainly from a freeze in salary increases. However, the track record shows that the country is likely to capitulate to the demands of unions and workers, meaning a wage freeze is unlikely to be successful. Jan Friedrich, a senior director of Fitch Ratings, told Bloomberg. If you look back at the past decade, there have always been overruns in wage negotiations, even when the offer from government was quite a bit more generous, Fitch said. Now it's a wage freeze in an environment where there is still some inflation, which is quite a drastic measure. A lot of the savings dependent on it, and it is highly uncertain. Analysts and economists have long held doubts over government's capacity to implement the wage freeze, saying that it has a poor track record of following through with stated budget cuts around the wage bill. And of course, what they leave out here is the pandemic or endemic corruption that is the hallmark of this ANC government. Finance Minister Tito Mboweni criticized the rating agencies for the downgrades, saying that it was like beating South Africa while it was down. He said this was particularly egregious during a global economic crisis. He described the downgrades as painful and said that the country needed to move with urgency to implement reforms to avoid further downgrades. Well, all I can say to that is that the ANC government have been sold a dud by the New World Order, and they bought into it. And before they bought into the lockdown, the economy was stuffed anyway. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.